The story of Esther is one of the most inspiring accounts in the Bible. It speaks of courage, faith, and the hidden hand of God working behind the scenes for the salvation of His people. Esther, a young Jewish girl, found herself in an unexpected position of power and influence as Queen of Persia. Her bravery in the face of danger and her strategic wisdom led to the rescue of her people from imminent destruction. This story is a testament to the impact that one person's courage and faith can have on an entire nation. Let's journey through Esther's story, exploring the chapters that chronicle her rise from obscurity to becoming a national heroine. Esther was born in the land of Persia, part of the Jewish community living in exile. After the death of her parents, she was raised by her cousin Mordecai, a devout Jew who cared for her as if she were his own daughter. The two lived in the bustling city of Susa, a melting pot of cultures and traditions, but their Jewish identity set them apart. Esther's name, which means star, would later shine brightly in the darkest hour for her people. The turning point in Esther's life came when King Xerxes, ruler of Persia, sought a new queen to replace the deposed Queen Vashti. Young women from all over the kingdom were brought to the palace to compete for the king's favor. Though she was a foreigner in the land, Esther's beauty, grace, and humility stood out. She was chosen to be queen, a position that gave her access to power and influence, yet one that also came with hidden dangers. Unknown to the king, Esther kept her Jewish heritage a secret, as advised by Mordecai. This would later prove to be a crucial decision as events unfolded. Mordecai, Esther's guardian, had a prominent position in the king's court. One day, he uncovered a plot by two palace guards to assassinate King Xerxes and informed the king through Esther. The matter was investigated, and the conspirators were executed, with Mordecai's loyalty being recorded in the royal chronicles. But this was only the beginning of the challenges that lay ahead. A new threat emerged in the form of Haman, an ambitious official who had risen to power as the king's prime minister. Haman despised Mordecai because the latter refused to bow down to him, staying true to his Jewish faith. Out of spite, Haman hatched a plot not just against Mordecai but against the entire Jewish population in Persia. He convinced the king to issue a decree that, on a specific day, all Jews in the kingdom would be killed and their property plundered. This genocidal edict spread fear among the Jews, including Mordecai, who went to Esther with a desperate plea. She must risk her life by approaching the king uninvited, a move that could result in her execution. Esther faced a profound dilemma. Persian law stated that no one, not even the queen, could approach the king without being summoned upon pain of death. Yet Mordecai's words struck a chord in her heart. "Who knows but that you have come to your royal position for such a time as this?" The weight of her responsibility pressed upon her, and she realized that her position as queen was not by chance. Esther decided to act, but not impulsively. She instructed Mordecai to gather the Jews of Susa to fast for 3 days, and she, along with her maids, would do the same. Esther knew that her fate and the fate of her people rested in God's hands. After the 3 days of fasting, Esther dressed in her royal robes and courageously approached the king. When Xerxes saw her standing in the inner court, he was pleased and extended his golden scepter, signaling that she could speak without fear of punishment. With wisdom and tact, Esther invited the king and Haman to a banquet she had prepared. This would be the first step in executing a carefully laid plan. At the first banquet, Esther did not immediately reveal her request. Instead, she invited the king and Haman to a second banquet, knowing that timing was crucial. Between these two banquets, a significant event occurred that would turn the tide in favor of the Jews. The king, unable to sleep one night, asked for the royal chronicles to be read to him. In them, he was reminded of Mordecai's earlier act of loyalty in saving his life. Realizing that Mordecai had not been rewarded, the king sought to honor him, unknowingly setting up Haman for a humiliating downfall. Haman's pride was shattered when he was ordered to lead Mordecai through the streets of Susa. proclaiming him as the king's honored man. This public reversal was a sign that his fortunes were beginning to change, but he remained unaware of the full extent of Esther's strategy. At the second banquet, Esther saw that the moment was right. The king, eager to hear her petition, asked what she desired. Esther then made her boldest move yet. She revealed her Jewish identity and pleaded for the life of her people. She exposed Haman as the architect of the deadly plot, risking her life to bring justice to her community. The king was enraged. He stormed out into the palace garden in fury, while Haman, realizing his life was in grave danger, begged Queen Esther for mercy. When the king returned and saw Haman falling at Esther's feet, he interpreted it as an attack on the queen. This sealed Haman's fate. He was executed on the very gallows he had prepared for Mordecai. Although Haman was dead, the decree he had set into motion could not be undone, as Persian law was irrevocable. However, the king, at Esther's request, allowed a new decree to be issued, permitting the Jews to defend themselves against their enemies. When the appointed day arrived, the Jews prevailed over those who sought their harm, turning what could have been a day of mourning into a day of victory and celebration. To commemorate this great deliverance, the Jews established the Feast of Purim, a festival of joy and thanksgiving. Purim continues to be celebrated by Jews around the world as a reminder of how God, through Esther's bravery, delivered his people from destruction. It serves as a powerful testimony to God's providence and the impact of one person's courage in changing the course of history. Esther's story is a powerful reminder that God can use anyone, regardless of their background, to fulfill his purposes. Her journey from an orphaned Jewish girl to a queen who saved her people demonstrates that faith and courage can transform lives. Her decision to risk her life for others is a testament to the importance of taking a stand, even when it involves great personal risk. The story of Esther encourages us to recognize that our positions and circumstances are not mere coincidences. We are placed where we are for a purpose. What storms are you facing today? Remember that just as God was with Esther, he is with you in your trials. His promises are eternal, and his love never fails. Share your thoughts in the comments. How has God shown his faithfulness in your life? And don't forget to subscribe for more inspiring biblical stories that uplift your faith.